My name is Ron Huffman. My background is in construction design and building inspection. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Colorado. I've been performing home and commercial property inspections for real estate transactions since 1989. In 1999, I started performing specialty inspections of EIFS, stucco, man-made stone, natural stone, and other exterior wall claddings. I'm the immediate past president of Exterior Design Institute and am currently an instructor for EDI. EDI is an EIFS, Stucco, and Exterior Wall Cladding Inspector Training Association. I found that I often receive referrals from home inspectors who have followed the standards of practice but have misidentified types of stucco cladding or missed key concerns about the wall cladding installation or condition. In an attempt to help my peers, I've worked with Mr. Dennis Rose, Nachi TV, and others to create this online training course for property inspectors that is based upon the InterNACHI standards of practice. This course is from the home inspector or commercial properties inspector point of view and does not include any destructive testing or the use of any specialized equipment. This course complies with the InterNACHI standards of practice for a visual inspection using tools that any trained home inspector or commercial property inspector should have with them on any inspection they perform. We've made a number of mock-up panels for this class that you can see behind me. These mock-ups cover the following types of systems: PB EIFS, face sealer barrier EIFS, moisture drainage EIFS, MD EIFS, polymer modified EIFS, known as a PM EIFS, polyisocyanurate EIFS, known as a PI system, direct applied exterior finish systems, or DEFS, or DA is another name for them, traditional stuccos, also known as hard coat stucco, HCS, including 3-coat stucco, 1-coat stucco, known as OCS, with an introduction to insulated concrete forms, or ICF, wall claddings, as well as an introduction to man-made stone wall claddings. As a home inspector, following the InterNACHI standards of practice, the questions you need to answer are: what kind of stucco is on this wall? Are there any concerns about the stucco on this wall? And what do I tell my clients about the stucco on this wall? We'll now take a cursory look at one of the wall panels highlighting some of the stucco identification and stucco concerns identification, as well as reporting techniques. Let's get started. The first question is the most critical because the answer to it can affect the answers to the other two questions. And the first question was, what kind of stucco do we have on the property? If you walk up to the wall, say, feel it, yes, we've got a stucco system, and continue on with other systems on the house, you're doing your client a disservice because they need to know what kind of stucco this is. There are at least 5 locations you can look at to help confirm your hypothesis of what kind of stucco may be on the wall. One of which is attachments, such as this ledger board. This section of ledger board was surface mounted. It's placed on the surface of the stucco system, and the anchors were tightened so much that it's compressed the stucco system, as can be demonstrated by the use of a simple pencil. You can see the surface coming down, and the back of the ledger board is probably 3/4 of an inch into the stucco system. This is a great tool, not very expensive one, but a great tool to demonstrate to your client what you're seeing. And if they're not there, this is a great photo opportunity to put in your report. So the system ledger, the ledger has been bolted down onto the system, causing deflection. When you deflect a stucco system, that's a good clue that this may be an EIFS system. Another attachment to look at would be this handrail. The bracket supporting the handrail, if you feel the wall, again, the stucco cladding is concave where the attachments are. Our handy pencil laid on the surface, we find that the exterior face of the bracket is flush with the wall, compressing the stucco cladding probably 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. Again, when the wall system is compressed like this, it's a high indication that we have some sort of EIFS system. We just don't know what type of EIFS system it may be at this point in time. Another key place to look will be at ledges or bottoms of wall claddings, stucco claddings. At this particular location, we can see there is a PVC starter track with weep holes in it. PVC starter tracks can be in hard coat or EIFS systems. We have clues that may be an EIFS system. This leads me to think that this might possibly be a moisture drainage EIFS system, seeing that we have the weep casing along here. Good clue, again, not conclusive. We look along this end here, we see our flashing going up behind the system, and we take advantage. When you're looking, if you see something, even though it's not supposed to be visible, go ahead and see what you can see. It's amazing what you can learn when you look. And here we're finding that there's paper behind the EIFS system, or what we believe is an EIFS system. 2 layers of paper, that's appropriate. It's implying that we now have an EIFS system that is a moisture drainage EIFS system. Bottom of systems are often very beneficial locations to look in that the system is hard or is often not finished at those locations. Something to keep in mind, if it's hard for you to get down and look at the system at the bottom of the wall, it was also hard for the person putting the system on the wall to get down there and finish it. So that's quite often where we'll find some incomplete systems. The bottom of the wall, you can start off putting your hand along here, seeing what you have going. Or another technique, and use a mirror to look up and see what you have. Over in this section, we see a weep casing, a PVC starter track with weep holes or a weep casing. And then over here, we see back wrapping. And we find some gaps in the back wrapping, some incomplete mesh, some incomplete back wrapping. When I'm out on the property, I have my own mirror, and I'm able to stand up and be looking at the bottom of the wall without having to get down on my hands and knees. But these are excellent places to look for details and concerns. You know, there's a great little hint that you should pay attention to when you're looking at wall systems. You walk up to the house. One thing you can do is tap on the wall. Use your knuckles, but they get kind of raw. I quite often will take my flashlight or a screwdriver and just tap on the wall. It sounds kind of hollow. If it sounds hollow, that's a clue you may have an EIFS system. If you come over to another wall and tap on it, see how that sounds much more solid, firm? That's a hard coat system. So it sounds much more solid on a hard coat system, much more hollow on a EIFS system. So a little clue to help you in terms of identifying the stucco system. Another great non-destructive technique of checking the wall system, what type of cladding system you may have, is to come up and just press on the wall. If it gives to your thumb, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's moving in and out probably 1/8 of an inch or so. That's a pretty good indication you have an EIFS system. If you come up to a hard coat system and do the same thing, you can push all day long, the wall doesn't move, your thumb just gets mashed, then that's a pretty good indication you have a non-EIFS system. It may be a hard coat system, maybe a DEEF system, maybe a PM system, but at least you know it's not an EIFS system. Another key area or location to look would be damaged locations on the property. It may be something where somebody's run into the wall with their car or the truck. It may be a weed whacker hitting the wall, or it may be bird damage. If it's bird damage, you're probably going to need a ladder to get to it because it's going to be up near the top of the wall. But all of these are great locations to look. Quite often the whole system will be exposed at that location. At this location we've simulated damage. We can see we have OSB substrate, 2 layers of grade D paper, EPS insulation, a mechanical anchor, fiberglass reinforcing, a very thin base coat, and a finish coat. Looking at this location, I would feel very confident in stating that this property is clad with a moisture drainage EIFS system. So we've had formed hypotheses, we've confirmed them at various locations, attachments, railings or deck ledgers, bottom of system above deck ledger or bottom of walls, termination of the system where you saw some paper, and then at the impact damage or bird damage, we're able to see the entire system. That is a process you need to work through to confirm what kind of wall cladding you have on a property. And one little hint for you is it may not be the same wall cladding on all elevations or all portions of the property. I've run into one house in particular, a very small house, had 3 different wall cladding systems on that. All of them appeared to be stucco. Just a little food for thought. The second question that you need to address while doing a proper standards of practice inspection is, what concerns are you observing? There are a number of key places to look. We'll just spend a quick second here looking at this deck ledger. Remember we talked about the deck ledger, how it compressed the stucco system? Well, not only is it compressed it, it's actually torn or cracked the lamina. If you crack the lamina on an EIFS system, that's a great path for water intrusion to occur. So that would be a concern you definitely want to get in your report. This spot here, that's not right either. Better write that up. Transition from stucco or EIFS to dissimilar materials is also a critical location. At this ledger here, we're showing 3 different interfaces: caulking, grout, flashing. Which one's correct? We go into that in more detail in the class. The answer really depends on what kind of wall system you have. That's why it's so critical that you're able to identify the type of wall cladding you have on the property. On the other mock-up, we saw there's some concerns that can exist at the water table. Another place you definitely need to check out is the vertical transition between dissimilar materials. What's going on at those locations? Definitely look there. Quite often you get clues as to what kind of system it is or what problems might exist. Another key place to be looking is at a diverter or kick-out flashing location. That's typically where a gutter runs into a wall. At that location, we can often get hints to the system type and also identify construction defects. We've constructed a wall with a proper kick-out flashing and one without a kick-out flashing. If you see the kick-out flashings missing, you've probably got problems going on in the house. One other key point you need to keep in mind as a property inspector looking at stucco: if you see EPS or XPS, don't jump to the conclusion that you have an EIFS system. One of the major misidentifications I see from numerous home inspectors is they see EPS and call it an EIFS system, when in fact it is a hard coat system with EPS plant-ons or the optional EPS underneath the hard coat system. So if you jump to that conclusion, you've misidentified the system, and now your client may be misled in making the wrong decision. So you need to know what you're looking at and be able to understand it. The third question you need to be able to answer about the stucco system is how to properly report this information to your client. If you're confident in what you're doing and know what you've got, while you're walking around with your client, you see this is compressed, you can put your pencil up there and show them this compressed, implying that it's an EIFS system. Finding the drainage track, the PVC starter track, that implies it should have the capability of draining. The black paper, the double D paper, or one of the other weather-resistant barriers, indicates it has a drainage capability, which a lot of people don't understand. It's an upgraded system, helps manage water in a much more effective manner to avoid deterioration of the wall system. So, knowing what kind of system you have then helps you answer the next 2 questions. What concerns you have? If you have a system that's sealed up at the bottom but it's supposed to be a drainage system, you know you've got a defect or a concern that needs to be addressed. If you find crushed or damaged stucco somewhere, those need to be checked out. If you find missing sealants, a number of different things, put those all in your report to give to your client, telling your client, we have concerns with this property. These are the ones I've observed. You need further investigation by a stucco expert for these reasons. And also that stucco expert is going beyond a visual inspection, doing probing or coring as appropriate, and they may find additional concerns with the property during their inspection. So you need to give your client guidance on where they should go, not just tell them, it's stucco. As you know, home and commercial property inspectors are required to inspect the siding and describe the exterior wall covering according to the InterNACHI standards of practice. If you have any doubts in your abilities to perform these tasks on a stucco-clad property, you owe it to yourself and your clients to take advantage of the InterNACHI Advanced Stucco EIFS training course. Upon successful completion, you'll become an InterNACHI certified stucco EIFS inspector. As you've seen in this brief introduction, there are nearly a dozen typical types of stucco used on properties and numerous variations, most of which are improper. Also, the application criteria can vary depending upon the type of substrate. If you don't know, don't guess stucco, get professional training. I'm Ron Huffman, and I'll see you in class.